Well, I'm on my way to Ohio right now. I got the truck. I'm going over to Jason's. Didn't have the sound asleep last night. We had another rough outing with JK Victory. We'll talk about him in a minute. Haunted House, I thought, although his line looked adequate, I thought he was a little off. I don't mean sore in any way. I just mean he just didn't seem to be his typical Haunted House self. Two great races from the other two. We'll talk about all that in a minute, but I think it's important off the top to talk about why I didn't sleep that well, and that was the information given to me that Mario had come back with Cash Deals had come back with a positive certificate for medication called glypropylate. Now, I did send a note out to my partners at Cash Deals explaining what glypropylate was, two, I guess it didn't explain how it possibly could have ended up in the horse's system, not at the time frame in which it was given. So I guess I'll give you the long and the short of it. Much more over the last year, we've used glypropylate in between training sets, especially for Lasix horses, because we don't want to give Lasix twice in a week, right? And this stems from the consultation we got from a veterinarian about giving Lasix twice a week in regards to Patrick DePrana. Do you remember what happened? I think it was 2 years ago now. Do you remember what happened with him? He got Lasix and trained on a Wednesday and got Lasix and raced on a Saturday and flipped his heart. He had arrhythmia. And what happens is Lasix is a pretty heavy-duty diuretic. Many of you may know elderly people that are on it. And you pee a lot. And what happens is your electrolytes dip. And when your electrolytes get really low, you have the chance of having arrhythmia, right? Getting the thumps. So we opted across the board. Now, everybody does it a little bit differently, and obviously we don't always need to train the horses, but you guys have heard me especially preach about how we've talked to the vets and how our trainers are trying to keep the horses from bleeding. So, we are always looking at methods to do that without using something as as strong as Lasix. And glypropylate, Robenal is usually pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen any Robenal positives floating around, and this is the problem we have, is that that medication violation was detected on Easter weekend. Well, Mario was in Kingston. Myself, my family were out of town. A number of people were out of town. And in that particular weekend, when we go back and look at the notes, Cash Deals trained on Thursday. She trained on Thursday and would have got glypropylate that day, would have got a lactated ringer, I assume, electrolyte bag. And then Friday, Mario was off to Kingston. We were gone away, people were away. She would have jogged Saturday, Friday, and raced on Sunday. Now, she's a Lasix horse, so they just would have brought her to the track, had the Lasix administered at the track, and that would have been that. Here's the problem. Glypropylate has a withdrawal time of 48 hours, so theoretically you should be able to give it Friday morning, Friday afternoon, right up until 48 hours for a post time, and you should not receive a positive. Well, she got it the day before that, so you're looking at almost 80 hours. And I'm not quite sure how that would even happen. And I guess you could appeal it. You could ask for a split sample. They could pinpoint roughly when it was given. But at the end of the day, it is in our barn. Right? It is in Mario's barn. I know there's some in Dominic's and Harry's. It is used. It's a medication. The reason that Mario only got a 3-day suspension and a 5-day $500 fine was because it is widely used. There's a label on it. The veterinarian drops it off. We're allowed to have it in the barns here. We can't use Amicar because the withdrawal time on Amicar is like 20 some days now. So if we used Amicar on that Wednesday, Race Cash Deal said, we're going to send her over to Ohio. No, you're not, because that substance is detectable for up to 3 weeks or more, I believe. I guess there's no real way to figure out how it happened. So where does that leave us? What is the takeaway from this with Cash Deals? And I think that the takeaway is simple. We have to really look and say, okay, is it really worth the risk of this ever happening again? Nobody can say it happened. It'd be different. I'm going to say, made a mistake, Mario had given this, but no, he wasn't even here. Neither were we. And people just don't go administering medications willy-nilly. There's Mario administers it, and that's that. So I guess we can simply just use Claudol if we have to, and there's no withdrawal time on that at all. So I guess we could use Claudol for cases like that, and I guess keep an eye on them. I mean, it wouldn't be preferable if Claudol worked as well as Lasix. People would just use Claudol, I suppose. There'd be a Claudol program. So it's not nothing about what I'm telling you is ideal, but at the same token, we're going to try to do our best to learn something from this, and if we have to switch everybody away from using glycopyrrolate that has anything to do with us and move to something more therapeutic, more I don't know, maybe there's some oral suspensions or something. I have no idea what they can use. But it's definitely a conversation we as a stable, we as a group, and definitely we as partners are going to have a discussion about. So that is where that is. There's not much I can really say about that. You know, it's documented when the glycopyrrolate was given to the filly. Somehow she ended up testing positive for it. It's not really a substance you would give to a horse that's also on Lasix, unless they're a really bad bleeder, but it tests, so that'd be an idiot to do that. I could talk till I'm blue in the face. At the end of the day, it's there. It will be dealt with, and it's such a minor offense, medically speaking. It's not worth investigating it much further. It is in our barn. We don't know how it got into the filly system in a withdrawal, inside of a withdrawal time, or how it appeared to be. And it being a 3-day suspension and a $500 fine, which is the same as the second offense for urging as a driver. I think it's best in this case to maybe just let it go, I suppose. So I guess that doesn't give you really a whole lot more answers than you had before. Yes, as I said, the medication is in our barn, and for the most part that I know of, most of our trainers use it quite frequently. We use it because we don't want to get into a situation where the electrolytes are getting screwed up in the horses that are on the Lasix program. But aside from that, I don't really have any more answers for you. I guess we'll continue on with Mario. His colt raced great last night. First start on Lasix, more than you know. Thought he raced very, very, very good. Really impressed with the way he kicked home late. That was a good last quarter and a good mile in with some decent horses. I talked to Louis Philippois this afternoon about him. He thought he raced really well. He was really happy with him. So that was a great race for him. Really happy to see that horse starting to come forward. I talked to James today also. As the race unfolded last night with Gandalf the Black, I told Amy at the quarter pole, I said, we only need to be second. 10 horses getting set back. Because usually what happens is there's two ways this played out. As they come out of the gate, you'll see the 9 and the 10 start coming down towards the rail, right, together. Now, when they get to that precipice, that inflection point, when they get to that, and the 5 horses now being squeezed, I don't know that you can say the 10 initiated that. The 9 definitely squeezed the 5, and that's who they blamed it on. But a lot of the time, I don't want to say almost all the time, but a lot of the time, what they'll do is say, well, yeah, the 9 squeezed the 5, but the 10 squeezed the 9. It's the 10's fault. And that's what happens more times than not. So as I'm watching the race, I said to Amy, we only have to be second. She said, what do you mean? I said, the 10 horse getting tossed for sure. And as we ended up second, it took forever for an inquiry to go up. I'm like, it seemed pretty cut and dry to me watching the race from the racing angle. And then as they showed the head on, I was like, yeah, they probably will toss him. That's generally what they do, is toss the 10. And then they didn't. And even James said, he goes, that's should have been placed first. He said, in fact, James said, I watched the whole thing unfold in front of me, and I thought it was definitely the 10 horses' fault. Gandalf raced good. There's no taking that away from him. He's still nowhere near 100%, but pacing better than he's ever paced in his life. So, James said, it's grassroots is tough. James is always angling. I treat your money like it's mine. James does too sometimes. And he said, it might be a good time to sell him. I said, I can't sell Gandalf the Black. The horse is He's been racing great. On what grounds would I sell him for? He's got lots of money to make. He's got lots of classes to race in. He's fast, and he's clearly getting better. At what point would you use any of that information to initiate a sale on Gandalf the Black? It just makes no sense. I said, aside from that, the people that own Gandalf the Black, my partners, they might come to my house and kill me. I don't know. So I immediately dismissed relax. I immediately dismissed any rumors of Gandalf, maybe in the fall, but I just think I see where James is coming from. He's still a little bumpy. He's a smaller horse. He doesn't look like a 50-51 pacer. That's what but Gandalf never looked like a racehorse last year. Certainly looks like one now. He looked very bumpy his first few starts. A minor little bit of that work done to him, and the horse was clearly better. And then charging again on the end of it, 1:52 in the mud. As I said to James, if you continue to race him like you race every horse, just being you, just continue to be you, and Gandalf will stay fresh all summer, and he'll get better. I said, James, think of how he looked 4 starts ago. Think of how he looked last night, how he felt. Did he feel bumpy like you would make a break in a turn? He said, no, actually, he felt really, really good. I said, so he's getting better. We don't know how good he is. Usually when it comes to us selling horses, we know how good the horses are. We've mapped out a plan and a path according to that information, but that's incomplete because we don't know how good he is. Let him become a nice horse. He wants to be a good horse. He's a likable animal. So no, I'll dismiss your mild request for sale of Gandalf. I thought he just raced. I thought he raced tremendous last night. Now we came to the rest of the card. I'll finish with the one that's obviously the most concerning. So we'll go to. I get used to diesel now. Self-diesel is on that side. Does that mean I gotta go in this way? It used to be over here. It says out of order. Okay. Haunted House race good. James said he was really hot and he was actually making a noise in the mile. So I guess your question would be, and a fair question would be, why was he hot and why was he making a noise? So I would guess, 1, he's racing good. 2, that track was hard as a rock last night. He probably come on the track and he's a little agitated. And, James got fighting with him in the post parade, and he said he heard him make a noise going to the gate, and that's why he didn't push. I'm watching the race, I'm like, this horse can leave with the car. What are you doing getting away 5th? Especially, he doesn't like to be too wide. He's not a big closer from out of the clouds. Up front, that's where he's like, you don't be on the front, but close. And he said, that's why I didn't stir him up, because I thought if I got to the turn and I had to shut somebody out of a hole and I grabbed him again, lo and behold, he might make the noise. Now, this wouldn't be the start of him always making a noise, and that's a great question. Somebody asked me that the other day. When you talk about horses making a noise, do they start to make them and always make them? Is that always something they do? No. I would say, especially in this case, the track would be that would be the flashpoint. I like to use that sometimes. The flashpoint, where all of this cascaded from, was the track. And he was hot on the track. Probably the track was just as hard warming up, probably a little hot warming up, and then that spilled over into the race. He didn't race horrible. His line wasn't bad, but James said he was obviously not where I wanted to be, didn't race the way we hoped, and this is why. So Haunted House, I suspect what will happen is you want to get all the filling and swelling out of here, because that's where it sits. So he'll likely get a week off. They'll likely work on his throat this week. It may have the veterinarian come in and put an injection in there. I don't know. That's again, I have no idea. That would be up to Harry and the veterinarian. They're on top of that stuff all the time. They're both aware of it. They're both very aware of it, and it's a very treatable thing. So you may see him get a week off next week, but again, that will be up to the vet and Harry and how the horse seems after the race. Now we come to the only bad part of the night was JK Victory. Just another poor race. That's 2 in a row. We thought we were making headway with this guy and didn't, and I know all my partners are out there, and they were all somewhere between throwing something at the TV, screaming at the top of their lungs, or just went to bed angry, like I did, with just a hint of depression. I will tell you this. We do have the horse scheduled leave next week and go to Ron Burke. He said he would take him. And I would caution everybody that just gets down in the dumps and says, what can we do? with this horse. Now our money's gone. We paid all this money for the horse. He's terrible. He's not worth even remotely as much as we thought he was. You can think those thoughts. But I suspect my partners on Patrick the Piranha may be able to give you some solace in the sense that Patrick the Piranha was terrible when we brought him here too. We're not always going to do good with every horse, guys. This is the real world. This is planet Earth. We all live in it every single day. And if it was that easy just to buy horses off people, bring them places, and they just go forward all the time, then all the rich people in the world would win all the races. And they win a lot of them, but they don't win all of them. Patrick the Piranha was disgusting when we first bought him. In fact, the only win we had was in a qualifier after he got the thumps, before he left to go to Massachusetts, right? Or New York, I guess. Massachusetts via New York. And that's the same as this horse. Ron Burke knows this horse. He knows the ins and the outs of him. He knows, I guarantee you, there's an equipment card sitting somewhere for JK Victory with all the veterinarian work, or at least he can go over the veterinarian records of what he did with them. And they'll know what to do with JK Victory. And for those of you thinking he can't possibly come back to the horse he was, Patrick the Piranha might be better now than he ever was. Harry's done great with Sintra. He's done great with almost every horse we've sent him. But not everybody can do good with every single horse. And that is just how it is. And I don't care if it is Ron Burke or Harry Polton or anybody else. Do the best job you can, but know it. Know that this game is merciless. Know that it doesn't matter how high you get, I guarantee you this game will bring you back down. Whether that's what happened last night with Mario, or whether that was a horse racing bad, this game is unforgiving. And when it comes to JK Victory, I know you don't want to hear this, but you're going to have to. Just relax. This horse is going. There's nothing. I know he gets bumpy and he gets out of gear. You want to do yourself a favor? Go look at his videos from last year about the horse knowing he had been bumpy, hoping that he had grown out of it when they turned him out after his 3-year-old season and brought him back. He didn't. But there's no lameness, acute lameness there that can't be managed. His right front ankle and his right hind ankle bother him a little bit. That's where you get a lot of that scrambliness from. But his shoeing, Harry changed his shoes, I believe, last night. Obviously, that also did not work. But we're not going to continue to beat our heads against the wall. And Harry was the first one. 5 seconds after the race, I'll make sure I have the papers drawn for victory immediately. Because Harry's a team player. He knows that it's just not working out. JK Victory is not working out in his barn. And that is not his fault. He's not a magician. He's not superhuman. There isn't a trainer in this game that gets along with every single horse all the time. Not one. But the good news is, JK Victory is no different than he was last year. He's just a little bit worse right now. And when you have good horses and they slide a bit, they can look like bad horses really, really, really easy on the trot and the pace. So we're going to do exactly what the plan was last week. We're going to pivot. We're going to send the horse to Ron Burke, and he'll be racing in Indiana, where he was raised, where he made all his money, for the most part, outside of the Milstein, where he belongs. So, for my partners out there on JK Victory, you're going to need an Indiana license, so look into that immediately, because his next start will be at Hoosier Park. And as I said, there's no reason at all that this horse can't come forward and can't regain and even get better than the way he was before. And look no further than Patrick the Piranha to let you know that that's very, very possible. Just change the way. For whatever reason, the way that Harry trains horses was not working out with JK Victory, and there is nothing wrong with that. And that's certainly no reason to say, well, Harry, maybe we should change things up. No. I'm very happy with the way Harry Polton trains horses. He does a great job. He's a consummate professional. And if JK Victory doesn't get along in Harry's barn, then JK Victory can go. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Now send him to Indiana, see if Ron Burke can get him back on track, get him back moving in the right direction, and we'll have some luck with him moving forward. So that is it. 20-minute video. I think it was worth it. Just to let you know what took place last night. What is taking place today. Let me see. I'll never get all the horses. I know that Austral's racing. I'm going to make my way over to race Austral very, very soon for tonight. Cash deals. I believe there's no reason it's a class 4. It's a very minor violation, so she'll be able to race tonight. As far as I know, I don't believe there's any talk of scratching her or having to scratch her. And who's the other horse over there? think we had 2 at Flamborough, didn't we? Oh, or are we Erie's first lifetime start? He's racing tonight at Flamborough also, so that's 3. We have other horses. Megan is racing odds on Delray tonight. I think we had 7 horses. Oh, Oakwood Cowboy IR is racing tonight. That's 6. I think we had 1 more. Anyway, I did pretty good. I got 6 of them. So, obviously, we always have ups and downs, and these are obviously anomalous things that happen with Jason and Mario, and we'll work through those together. Try and learn from both situations. I think we're learning a lot from one situation. We'll try to learn from both situations and put in place things that will help us ensure that this never happens again. That's as far as the medication goes. Put that out of your mind. In regards to the horses, I think mostly everybody is racing good right now. Yes, we're always going to have a JK Victory that comes out and throws a stinker in, or Hunted House, and hopefully have a reason as to why they did it. But I think things are pretty good right now. Looking like we're going to have a pretty good summer. The 3-year-olds have come back very strong. Brace for Landing, Crantini, Carter Michael Dio, James's horse, Hasty Bit himself, Spitfire Overseas. We're in the middle of getting him polished back up and going, and then the 2-year-olds look fantastic. We're going to try and bring you videos this week. I think looking at the forecast, it might be Tuesday, Ohio. We may not be able to get one in. I know Patricia doesn't want to hear this. We may not be able to get Ontario in this week. I looked. There's a chance of rain every single day. Now, hopefully, just relax. Hopefully, as the week progresses, Monday into Tuesday into Wednesday, that radar changes a little bit, and Saturday is now a little more usable. I'm going to be home Thursday. Any day, Friday or Saturday, if we can get a drone day in one of those 2 days, we certainly will. So now you are all caught up. You get your videos. You got a perspective of me of Saturday, what went on Saturday, all that went on Saturday, what's going on tonight. Good luck to everybody racing tonight, all my partners. I'm going to continue on, get some diesel, and head down the road. Take care, everybody.